Kindly come over, an outstanding personality in the fire sector with over 4.5 decades of experience, was the earlier director of MIDC Fire and also the architect for the Maharashtra Fire Service Act. And also in the National Building Code 2025 version, he heads the drafting group over there. Give him a big hand for receiving him. Could I also request Mr. R.C. Sharma, the previous former director of the Delhi Fire Service, to also join onto the dais? Where are you on the clip?
Mr. V. Suresh is a very iconic personality, very towering personality. And if he introduces me, that means a lot for me. But he is the main engine for the lot of codal practices, standard practices in India. So as he was leaving, I thought I will start my opening remarks with that. Yes. So this is a panel which is, I don't know why Suresh sir chose me, because the kind of experts there, and especially you have academicians on the dais, then for a firefighter like me, it is a huge challenge, because we know the operations and we little lack on the theory part of the different subjects. But still, I'll make the best possible endeavor. Like we had Mr. Mehta, who was a legal luminary in India. He started the environmental social activism way back in 1980s. And he is actually one of my role models. And he put a lot of PILs in the Delhi, the Supreme Court and the different high courts. And that is the reason the Environment Act of 1986, EPA Act of 1986 took the birth. If the subject like environment is not attracting the audience, it is very difficult to expect too much of audience for the fire as a prominent subject given here. Before I begin, I will tell you a small story. Is it audible? I'll start with a very, very small story before we begin the session. As Suresh sir said, it is a post-lunch session. Now, sir, the today generation, they work almost 24/7. And I don't know when they get the really time to sleep, but maybe Sundays could be possible. So, when I was a candidate for the matrimonial in my life, so my time was not the breakup patch-up time. It was a systematically arranged marriage, and unless there is a consent of the parents, we had no courage to take a step ahead. So that is the time when there was a matrimonial proposal was being searched for me by my parents. When they used to listen that the boy is working as a fire officer, most of the people, they don't know what is this profession is. There was no so much recognition to this profession, and private jobs were not so many. So private jobs were not so many, so the government jobs like the civil services, police services, taxes, revenues, all these services people knew. But when they used to listen fire services, they used to get confused. And finally, the 42nd girl which approved me and also I approved her, I got married. So you can understand why I am telling this, though it is related to my personal life and the very honest story. This is the recognition to the fire services in India, which I see in 4 decades of time, I see a lot of change in this particular subject, the importance the society is recognizing. We had a Kyoto Protocol, we had a US Protocol, we had several protocols for the environment. Only change I could see that the 20 years before, people used to throw the chocolate or any other wrappers or the any garbage on the street. Nowadays, elders do that, but the children, they say, Papa, you keep it in the pocket, and maybe when we find a dustbin, we will put it there. So that is the only major change I see. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan was very exciting movement by the government of India. But yesterday night when I came from the airport and was going from the left side of the Supreme Court, I could see a lot of garbage on the street, which was very painful. So how we are going to do the segregation of the waste do the environmental issues is a huge challenge before the society at large. Then we have another subject called as the overall carbon emission and the impact on the environment. I was reading one article other day, because there are nowadays articles come pro and anti-government. So sometimes you have to draw the gist and refer to some authentic media. So each data center of average 30 megawatts, it creates the carbon emission equivalent to 5,000 diesel driven cars. And now our budget is giving us the tax holiday for the data centers, and we as Indians, we are excited. Initial 25 years of my career, I was into the Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, which is a leading premium organization of Maharashtra for the industrial infrastructure. 70-80 was the time maximum chemical industries, bulk drug, all that was coming to the coast in India. The reason is the developed countries, they do not wanted that junk there, and these industries were coming here. So I don't know about the thinking about the data centers. There's so many, they are coming in India. We are excited to talk about it. Maybe AI Summit must have spoken more about it. So this is another one topic. Green buildings. Suresh sir is an actual expert on the subject. But green buildings is a good concept. And green buildings will be the future of India. Now coming back to the overall urbanization, there are experts here, but I am just trying to highlight a few issues here. Whenever I visited most of the countries, and the developed countries in particular, and the country like China even, the urban model, what I could see there is basically, it is not FAR driven, it is not FSI driven, it is a business driven. There is a global FSI, FAR also, but the major theme is every city has some theme. Something can be the educational city like Boston, something can be entertainment city, something can be the IT industry city like the San Diego, Seattle. So every city has certain theme. And I do not know which city of India, I am not saying traditionally, today we are driving or developing the city on some theme. That the experts will be able to address that, not me. I am just putting some teasers to the experts and also you people for thinking and asking some questions on it. So it is a very digress channel, and the responsibility on me is to converge the entire diversion. Maybe I will be able to do at the end. So in brief to say, we have co-chair Mr. Ram Dayal, who is a special director for Central Public Works Department, which is a very important department. Most of the government buildings today are, all government buildings today are changing the shape, architecture, glass facades is quite attractive to see. I don't know how it works in case of a green buildings, that Suresh sir will be able to tell us. Mr. Saurabh Chaudhary from CII is a Confederation of Indian Industries, is a body which has a major role in policy making, and as a policy making body, they are a very good pressure group who can go to government, ask government to regulate something or to deregulate something. So these are the kind of chambers that we have in India. So he is a person from that organization. Mr. R.C. Sharma, my professional colleague, senior colleague rather, who headed the Delhi Fire Service, and he has a facet of working with different organizations like CISF, aviation and different sectors. So he is also a good expert and a luminary fire chief with us. Miss Kanika, I just met her a little before, and she will speak on urbanization and the urban town planning. Mr. Mathur is the Director, GPM Architects and Planner. They are the key people. So, some of our colleagues, they say architects are the fine design kind of or fine art kind of a people, and they are not responsible for the buildings. But general perception is the architect is the key architect has the key role, and he is more responsible for the buildings. The problem here in India is I know more about Mumbai. So in Mumbai, when the builders and developers, the architect is selected on the merits that who can give them the maximum productivity. And the productivity means the saleable area. So if there are three architects, these three ladies sitting on the first row, if they three go and bid for some of the leading builders, so one can give me the maximum saleable area will be selected. Doesn't matter, I don't mind paying little more fees, but the maximum saleable area. I don't see earlier when we had in Mumbai, we had a theme called as the urban skyline. And now I don't see that. There's a 4-storied building, there's a 100-storied building. So urban skyline is not there. I go back to the history. If anyone from Mumbai or has visited Mumbai, there are two concepts. Like in Delhi, we know the Lutein area. Mumbai has a Cup Parade area. The Cup Parade area is the name of the town planner architect who designed this Cup Parade area, and from there the Cup Parade area took birth. Many of us we do not know. Second, that the Mumbai is known for, you can Google out later, Mumbai has a big Birdi Chal. This Birdi Chal came in Mumbai in 1924 after the eruption of the plague. And the cause of the plague, the then, medical experts, the public health experts, they found that there is no adequate air circulation and light and ventilation circulation. I am born and brought up in Worli area, but this Birdi Chals are little away from me. But I see the Birdi Chals today, only 4-storied building. They are the Chals constructed for the labor camps. There are a lot of mills in Worli or that area. So the arrangement was required for accommodating the workers, and therefore the Chals were constructed. Sometimes during some rebels, the government used those vacant Chals as a jail for the prisoners, the national movements. So these Chals, if you see, between the two buildings, you will always see a minimum space of 16 meters to 18 meters. Wide roads. 4-storied building, still you can go and see, vouch, there are 2 staircases. And here, while I was working as a director, a lot of proposals used to come to us that what should be the definition of high-rise building. Today also we are jiggling on that. And people are asking the single staircase should be enough. I said, why you require that? You have lifts? No, why you want single staircase also? So there is a compromise on travel distance, there is a compromise on the compartmentation, there is a compromise on the fire safety requirements. Mr. Sharma will be able to explain us or guide us. It is the economic driver which is pressurizing us not to have the adequate fire and life safety in the buildings, or I am talking historically. Today movement is going on different. So buildings above 30 meter or 45 meters are insisted for providing sprinklers or above certain height detectors. Globally, even the single-storied house has a sprinkler and a detector. Challenges are different. And now the government of India, which has adequately been published in the newspaper, so I can take a privilege to talk, that government is very, very serious for going for a deregulation. The deregulation is driven from the cabinet secretary and the ex-cabinet secretary who was a member on the Niti Aayog. And the thinking or the philosophy of the government is that more we deregulize, we bring the regulation, we scale down, the economic development of the country will take place. Most of the meetings I have asked, can you give me one example of a country where the rules, regulations are not stringent, laissez-faire, and the growth has taken place? Any developed country's example, I am not able to find one, but the experts will be able to tell us probably. And maybe some audience, there is expertise in the audience also, they also will be little provocated with my little aggressive way of talking, and they may also come forward and say that yes, the deregulation will be an advantage to the nation. So, having a license, driving license and having a helmet, compulsion of the helmet or safety belt will help us for the life safety, or deregulation will improve the sale of the foreign cars. That is the dichotomy before us. So with this basic opening remarks, may I request our speakers to one by one express their views. But my ultimate idea is that After they speak for 5 to 7 minutes, each speaker takes. I want the audience to participate. We should be chatting, we should be talking, we should be discussing, and it will not be a two corner tight kind of quorum or the discussion. So with this, thank you so much for showing some interest in my profession.
You can ask co-chair to give his input and then we'll start presentation.
Who?
Co-chair, उनके पास
Okay.
presentation नहीं है.
Okay. The professor is requesting me, as I spoke, the co-chair also has a privilege to break little ice, remove some haze on the surface, and then we'll go by each speaker. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Chairman on the dais and other eminent speakers, and the few speakers and the eminent personalities in the audience. Basically, I will speak as a professional which I have adopted in the last my about 35 years of services. Mainly, I have been involved in the construction of the buildings and the infrastructures like roads and the bridges. So, for the buildings, the prominent buildings where I have worked is basically the in the Parliament House one building. The extension of Parliament House Annex C was constructed when I was superintending engineer there. And thereafter, I was there in the Central Vista for about 3 years, wherein I was involved in the construction of the Vice President Enclave and Executive Enclave, which was recently inaugurated by the PM as a Seva Tirth, and also the starting of the work of the PM residence. So you see, we have adopted all the sustainability measures which we could implement it in any sphere of the building, whatever may be from the planning to the implementation, and there we have basically targeted for the GREHA rating or the IGBS rating, the highest rating, but I think it will be about 4 star, which ultimately the department will get it. So if you see, it is very important that while planning, we think of the what we want to achieve it. So the material selections, the type of the structures to be done, and the how to increase the life of the buildings. Normally the RCC structures we consider is the 75 years. But here we have basically adopted the system where we target at least more than 100 years of the life of the buildings. So by say upgrading the environmental conditions, so that will increase the cover of the concrete, that will enhance the life. And then we have adopted the latest waterproofing system, so that building will last the long. Also, all kind of the services which we have done, we are doing with the latest kind of material which will save the energy. Similarly, for the electrical and mechanical works also, the paramount importance is of the energy efficient system to be installed. And we have also adopted the modular rain harvesting structure, and that is the latest one in this. And to set an example, that is what it has been done in the Executive Enclave and other buildings also it is being done. Recently I am posted in the border infrastructure is quite, you see, there is a lot of need to design the resilient structures, because in the recent climatic disasters like the Gulf and this cloud burst, there is a lot of damages caused to the structures. So in this field, actually there is a lot of scope to research and find out the solution for the long-term infrastructure stability. We have been facing the problem of the slope stability. That is the area where we are working there trying to adopt the new technology or the structures which will long last, it is very important. We have been able to do something but not the much. So we are working on that and making some trial pits. Trial basically for that. One of the challenging area is the construction of the border infrastructure in the Bhuj. That is the run of Kutch. There also it is a very strange kind of the climatic conditions you can get there. So there we are contacting the specialized farms and desks how to protect the area there where the buildings are constructed on the islands. All kind of things we are doing, and I hope it's a very relevant topic. We will hear from the speakers. Will have the lot of the information and knowledge on this, which will be adopted in the future works. So thank you.
आप कॉल कर दो सर एक बार, यहाँ से करेंगे या वहीं से? कर दीजिए, आ जाओ। ये प्रेजेंटेशन में जाना चाहिए।
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Nowadays, we have got plenty of information available with us. You can put in a word and you can get history of anything you want to know. So I'm trying to confine myself to the practical experiences and the way we have been dealing with things and the way we are having the problems. Talking about the fire safety and resilient and future-ready public infrastructure. I think when we talk about when we talk about the fire safety and the resilient structure and all that, we normally talk about high-rise building because there is something which is one of the area where we have got a lot of developments, things coming up. Space is very, very scarce, and then we try to go up higher and higher. And that area has got its own hazards and fire safety issues. I'm not going to deal with anything that because that is available with us and we can just look into that. I don't consider that is a big problem nowadays. We see that in Delhi, last 3 or 4 years, we see the statistics. Hardly we have 100 plus fires in a year. And I not come across any of the casualty happening in the high-rise buildings. Reason probably is that we are having enough safety features built into the buildings, and we provide all the fire safety alarm systems and suppression systems. So things are taken care at some level, and we are not able to reach that problem that someone is going to lose their life. But on the other hand, there is another area we call our developing sector. That developing is no problem. We are building something new, and so we can take care of the problems. But when we talk about cities and all that, we are having another thing which is a low-rise buildings. We know that high-rise buildings, they attract certain provisions of fire safety. We provide them, we have to provide them, and means of escape, fire safety, firefighting, that is there. Hello. So that is happening on one side, there's not a problem. When we talk about the low-rise building, the biggest problem is they are in two. One is new buildings we are constructing is a high-rise basically, more or less. But the existing old buildings which are the low-rise, they are commercial building, commercial centers. In Delhi also we got Sadar Bazaar, Karol Bagh and all these areas are low-rise, so-called low-rise, but they are very, very hazardous. And when we look into the fire statistics, we find that more than 90% people, they are dying in the low-rise building fire incidents. So that's a big problem in these areas. Reason is, one is I just already mentioned, it is out of the purview of the fire safety rules regulations. So nothing is required to be provided, including the means of escape. And that causes the big problem over there. And we do not have much control on these things because there is no rule. It is not coming into the purview of the fire department or maybe licensing department to that extent. No, I'll just try to go through because time is the problem. So I'd like to take you to some of the real things which have happened. I come across. There was a small fire in a very small building, a nursing home. It is about 120 square meter. It is 6 meter by 20 meters.
यहाँ से शायद वो connecting
Okay.
है, तो just tell them they'll do.
Okay, the extreme right that you can start that. Yes. Okay.
वीडियो प्ले करो.
Okay, हो गया. It's okay.
यहाँ से नहीं होगा.
ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है. You can do this one. The last one in the group of 5.
लास्ट वाला वीडियो.
No, other one. Can you do the other one first? Other one, other video. Yeah. Well, this is you can see that this is a video is made by some person just walking across the place. You see the what is that? Baby care. 6 meter the width of the building, you can see very nice looking from the front. And ground floor second, this is the building which is on fire. Second floor is on fire. First floor is a hospital, baby care hospital. There are 14 kids admitted to the hospital. Ground floor is being used for oxygen cylinder filling, some bigger cylinder to smaller, etc. And here in this fire, when we talk about rules and regulation, doesn't come in the purview of the fire safety. Recently, the government is thinking under the ease of doing business, even the high-rise building, we can say up to 24 meter, we need not have anything. No, this is the case, which is a building which is about 9 meters, and its size is hardly 6 meter by 20 meter, and there are 2 staircases in this. One is in the middle, one in the front. The front portion is looking very nice, but it is having a spiral metal staircase. So once this is over, just another few seconds, we can go into the photographs. So here what we saw is, there were 14 kids admitted there. 8 of them died. They were in the front section of the hospital, and there was a rear side of the hospital in the staircase, there was some partition. So that the smoke could not go to that area, and these kids were taken out from the rear side by opening the windows on the rear side. So now you see that what we can plan for. Can we leave this thing out of the purview of the fire safety? Well, we can do it. Then we can have the consequences. Now, these are the things which I think the people taking decision, they have to think in terms of what is going to happen in case there is a problem. Go to the photographs, please. Now, this is the aftermath, what has happened subsequently. You can see that. Photographs, one by one. There are 3 photographs. After this fire incident, and it was so huge, this is a spiral case in the front side, which was covered by the good facade in the front, but then it got, after this got burnt. This is the situation. Next. Next, please. Yeah, this is the front which is burned. You see the metal structure which was covered nicely from the front, and you can see the width of the about 6 meter. That is the only thing. So ground first and second was a temporary structure rather. So fire was on second floor. The burning thing came down on the ground floor. There was an ambulance standing that got burnt, and number of oxygen cylinders, they started bursting, and they fell across the road onto the other side and set fire there in the IIT Vivek Vihar. And there was a huge cracks in the building, adjacent building. Now this is a small incident. Person doesn't need to have a license for, maybe it's a residential area, and we have got probably permission to have nursing homes beyond below certain limits to run it like this. But now this is what has happened really. So now what I want to, next another picture, one more thing is there. Yeah, this is again from the distance. We had huge damage, and we had huge excessive damage to the nearby both side buildings. So if this is happening to a small building like this, then we can imagine. And there are a number of incidents, we can quote about 20-30 incidents, where the low-rise buildings in Delhi, they had a fire incident, so-called not high-rise building, but the people died there due to these problems. We have got this Gujarat, that incident in a coaching center. Similar thing happened in Delhi also. We had a narrow escape, people did not die. Next, please go to that another one video. Now, this is what I want to convey to you, is that this is the situation that we have to be prepared even for a smaller building. And what we provide is another issue. What we can have. There was a mention of the sprinkler system by the earlier speaker. So sprinkler is something, even if it is available and operated with a gravity water, the water which is feeding to our bathrooms, I think that should be good enough. I've gone into some request to BIS. They have taken up a project to prove that the system is going to work if it is connected to the same your domestic water. So we don't need water regularly. Only when there is a fire it will work. And it's once it is approved in the last stages, we have seen it. So probably that will come as a handy something to do with this thing. Now this is another operational area in a hospital again, COVID hospital. There was a fire. It's a 3 minutes video, please. If something goes wrong, what we do? Are we prepared? What we should know? What is our requirement? What we can plan for that? And for the planning of the safety in a building, I think the architects, planners, two of them are sitting here. I think they must have the knowledge that what can go wrong. What is the main thing they have to keep in the designing while designing in a building? Means of escape. And I tell you, HVAC, central air conditioned system in the buildings and the normal buildings, there's a huge difference. Normal buildings are much, much safer. But if we change sometime normal building to air conditioned building, it can be a big problem. In Delhi, we got Janpath Hotel. It was with open corridors in front, Janpath, you could see that. Subsequently, they thought of making it central air conditioned. They put all fixed glass on the facade. So now, if there is a problem in some place, people cannot escape because the corridor will be full of smoke. So that is something. I am really, Upar incident, I was incidentally there as a firefighting and conducting rescue, in charge for that. And we took out 59 people from their top. I'm sure, because I've seen the fire, I've seen the conditions after the fire. If it was not centrally air conditioned building, if there was a openable windows, so many people would not have died. See this now, this is a hospital. They are connecting one ventilator machine. Electricity is one of the biggest problem which we face. So electrical meters in our low-rise building staircases, that can be a big problem. So look it from here. If there is an electrical fire, what happens? All the architects and planners, I think they should have a look at it. Planning the meters in the staircase, that is a big problem. See that how this person is having the access to the switch. Is he able to do it easily? Why the switch is on the other side, whereas the machine is on this side? Planning. So here comes the planning of the electrical fittings. What wattage, what is required, what is not required. So this, who has to do? We cannot think of anything now. In the beginning, when you are planning for a building, then we have to see all these things. It may be, again, a low-rise or high-rise in material. Hospital is a hospital, and problems can happen there. You are going to see that. The time is running on the top corner. It's 9:45 something. They try to connect it. They switch it on, and there is a problem. And see the action taken by them. The person goes there. Could he take out the switch? No, he could not. So something he could not do, and now they started rescuing. How much time we do have after electrical fire starts? You can just see from this. And this is the reality. What we see in the films is something very created sort of story. Don't believe that. This is what is going to happen in case there is an electrical fire. In our electrical meter, our fridge, or maybe our TV. So things go that fast. Now here the thing is, electrical systems, normally the thing should have tripped. MCB should have been there. It was there or not. Whether it worked, whether the maybe rating was good or not, is a different issue. See how one of the doctors gone and has brought one dry powder extinguisher. Now he operates that. See the things, embers flying on the floor, and luckily there was not much of other flammable material there. And doctors were awake. It was 9:45. If this could happen, maybe after 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning, we could assume what could have happened. And if the people, all the 5 patients, they were taken out, if they were bedridden, not able to get up, then what? If one doctor was there or 2 doctors and the patients were not able to move, then what would have happened? So now here comes the need for evacuation in a hospital. We cannot evacuate them, take them down to ground floor. No, not feasible. So we have to take them horizontally to other side of the hospital, and so that we have got a compartmentation in a way that half of the hospital will be safe. On the side where there's a fire problem, you can leave that, but shift them patients to the other side. No, this is what we do. And then you can imagine from this, the evacuation plans, who is going to do what, firefighting team, rescue team, fire brigade coming for this. What can go? I mean, you cannot do anything in such a this thing. So now, all your plan will remain on paper. You can't do anything. And those who are available, unlucky people, we could be there. Imagine any of us was there in that. What will happen? So this is what I want to just make out this thing. Awareness on the part of doctors, nursing people, security people there. What is available in hospital? Are the means of escape there? Are they locked or not locked? So which way to go? Now, patients will not know these things, but then they are supposed to be, at least their attendants, they should know that where is the exit and all that. Well, and it's a big thing, but I think time is the constraint. I would like to cut off this thing here. Thank you very much. If any questions, we'll be able to dig. Thank you.
After fighting fires for 4 decades, either by me or him, I in Maharashtra, he in Delhi, that whole conviction comes out in the life, which we also got many times the survival while fighting the fires, and we could save many people, property. So when we go as a speaker, that whole conviction, it comes like a fire, and then we become unstoppable. But still, he has controlled his time very well. Now, who is going to the next speaker? Yeah. Mr. Saurabh Chaudhary. Mr. Saurabh Chaudhary will come on the green building now. Yeah.
Slide changer is there. But easy में से कर लो. Just down arrow.
Hello. So, as we have talked about the first part of the session that we are handling, the fire safety, I will take into the second part of it where we talk about the sustainability and the low carbon infrastructure. So I'll share the journey of India so far in the low carbon infrastructure with the IGBC perspective that we have been working in the last 25 years. So I'll start with this slide where we talk about the difference of 1 degree doesn't matter. Even a small fraction of 1 degree will matter, because when you see the temperature is 47 or 48 degree, this is actually the temperature of the particular place, and it may affect multiplier effect on the vulnerable people like the people in the coastal areas across the country. So this is a statement of the United Nations Secretary General that every fraction of a degree will matter, and it will not respect borders, it will not respect the rich or poor, small or big. So it will affect everybody. So last decade, what we saw that importance of low carbon infrastructure has been at the top of the topic in India, because why it is happening? Because 70% of the global greenhouse gas emissions are actually happening because of power plants, buildings or transportation. Every one of you are aware about it. And what Overseas Development Institute predicts that around 720 million can be pushed back to extreme poverty by 2050 if it goes like this. We can talk about the better quality of life, but if so many people are pushed back, again the country remains underdeveloped or developing. So that need to be checked. Again, World Health Organization, we heard about this during the COVID. They are predicting around 150,000 to 250,000 it will rise, the number of deaths which will happen due to the harmful effects of the emissions. So that also need to be checked if it goes like this. So what good has happened in this slide is the fourth bar, which is in the brown color that you can see. The number of projects which have started talking about low carbon or green, it has increased from just 3% after 2010 to now 51% currently, and it is even growing now. So it is going to touch around 60% or 70% in subsectors. Some sectors it is actually trying to touch 80% of the things are all going green. Examples like the metro projects or urban transport or renewable energy projects, low carbon private participation. Today also our Honorable Minister highlighted that it should be PPPP along with the people's participation into it. So let's talk about what are the status of our country presently on the major areas like the tree cover. Worldwide it is 422 trees per person, but in India it is 30 trees per person. So there is a lot more scope to be done. Talk about surface water, we have 3% of the world's resources and 18% of the world's population. And it is even growing population which will be even going more. So how we be able to adjust to that, and how we can come out of that water stress scenario where we are The good news is we were at a scenario of 1118. You can see in the last column, India was at 1118, but today we are at 1510 cubic meter per person per capita. I think that is the good thing that has happened because of Amrut 2.0 and many other missions of the ministry. And Niti Aayog has estimated recently also that 21 cities will see day zero, means the groundwater is completely getting exhausted. We need to focus on how we replenish the groundwater, protect the surface water. And why it is all the more important today to talk about cities is because 6% of GDP will be lost. We are talk about so many $1 trillion of export, so many $1 trillion economy, but how will address it if your GDP is directly linked to water? 6% of GDP is linked to water, and that need to be also tackled. And you can see in this photograph how the demand is going to be doubled by 2030. Some work is definitely done in Amrut. Good news is again the wastewater scenario in the country, which was earlier 85% of the wastewater was actually going to the sewer, going to the water bodies and getting polluting it. Today only 70% is going, with lot more initiatives and activities going on. So there is still 15% reductions happening because of the Amrut and many other initiatives. So that is again concern. Talking about the waste scenario, because I've covered energy, water. Now waste, if you see, Government of India is talking about many different types of initiatives related to waste, because only 19% of the waste is treated in the country, and around 81% of the waste is going to the dump sites. So what is doing it? It is taking away the very important costly element, which is the land, which is most costly and day by day becoming more and more costly, and suddenly some waste is actually occupying a large piece of land. So that waste-wise cities is a good document of Niti Aayog that has come up in 2021, which talks about many of the initiatives. Talking about carbon, if you see this picture, you can see in 2005 our emission levels in global GHG emissions was 24%, which has grown. You can see from 39 gigawatts to 49 gigatons it has increased in just 2005 to 2021. And from 21 it was 48 gigatons. Now in 2023 on the right side photograph you can see in 2 years it has become 57 gigatons. So 48 to 57 is the rise, and in 3 years or few next coming years by 2030 it estimated that it will touch 67 gigatons. So as it will have a larger replication impact on the overall development that we are doing. So it is all the more unsafe to not do green, because green is not for just for environment. We have to say that green is for safe also, because one side is emissions and one side is water related crisis and the floodings. So if you see this overall emission intensity, 42% is where the IGBC works on, the built environment, where we talk about the residential, commercial, industrial and many different infrastructure typologies, and there has been good success stories that I will share in a couple of slides. Carbon scenario, we may say that yes, the carbon intensity is, whether India is good. India is just next to China and United States. You can see in the figure, after the rest of the world, China, United States, India. But in actual absolute number, India is highest among all in terms of the emissions, because of the quantum number of population and the activities that we're doing. So there's a lot of work need to be done on the black and the gray majorly, plus other carbon also need to be arrested. I think many of the hill stations, there's a lot of burning which happens. That also adds to a lot of health issues and challenges. So the things will increase. The floor space of India will increase, power demand of India will increase, vehicle fleet will increase, and cement demand will increase. There is some good, there is some bad. So we need to address this. Major challenge in the house is basically the climate change. We know this picture, this is the hottest days that the country is seeing. It is not 50, it is even more than this now. And the challenges which is related to precipitation, and people get displaced, and then a lot of effect to the revenue and the people and the scenario. And the intensity, frequency, lifetime, size of these cyclones are also increasing day by day. So to better prepare, that's why also the low carbon infrastructure and the green infrastructure is more important, because the battle against climate change will be fought in the cities, because cities looks like a 3% of the land area in the country. India's land, only 3% is cities land area, but contributes to 70% of GDP. So it's all the more important that we address cities in a better way, and then a lot of focus has come up in the morning inaugural address also we see. So here we come the IGBC, where 25 years we have been working on this subject, and it started with the center which was inaugurated by His Excellency late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the then President of India. He spent here almost an hour in this building, though he came for a small inaugural session, because it was creating a history at that point of time, and so we are seeing the history, because this council has so far developed 33 different rating programs adopted by more than 18,000 projects. 2,500 will be the government projects which have adopted it, and today stands just few billion square foot less than the US, and it is going to become the first the largest green building footprint in the world. It is presently at 15.52 billion square foot, including all typologies of the metros, government buildings, stadiums, and you can see the whatnot in the building assets ecosystem. All the buildings, many are in the Delhi also. You will be aware, Minister of External Affairs, Corporate Affairs, Sena Bhavan, MOEF headquarters. Many of the buildings have already achieved IGBC certifications. And government has understood this, and many states, around 16 states on records, are actually giving incentives, and you can also visit our website and see why these incentives are given to those 18,000 projects who are proactive out of 1 lakh projects maybe, or 5 lakh projects, because this is a very small, minuscule, voluntary initiative that these projects have taken to make it green and low carbon. So initiatives of IGBC are aligned with the World GBC, GRESB, Climate Bonds, ADB, all of them have MOU with IGBC. It is aligned with ESG. Somebody talks about ESG. All the ratings will have a compliance with the ESG framework also. Many of the MNCs across the world are adopting the IGBC's rating programs, the logos as you can see. So impacts are going to the extent of around 64 billion units of energy, 200 billion units of water, like 50 days of supply to Mumbai, equivalent water is saved per year. That is a recurring savings happening. Or 55 million cars off the road for 1 year. That is the equivalent emission reduction is done by these number of projects. So just talking about some of the larger low carbon initiatives in infrastructure done by India includes this. It starts with the metro, which is today 1100 kilometer network of metro where
Mr.
we have...
Saurabh,
Yeah.
थोड़ा सा ब्रेक लगाना पड़ेगा.
Okay. I will just, because these are such photographs and slides, so I will just taking advantage of time.
Photographs actually.
See, so these are the different metros. Definitely, we are working with around 14 to 16 different metro authorities, and they have demonstrated it by design, construction, and operation as green metros. So that is also one of the very unique achievement where Dubai's and Singapore's and Indonesia, they are talking to us about how metros can go green. We have already demonstrated in India. Indian Railways, we have working with 100 railway stations.
Excuse me, Saurabh. 2 minutes more maximum. Huh?
Okay. I'll finish in some time. 2 minutes. So basically, this is the railways we have working. Bullet trains, you are already aware that there's a rating program developed with NHSRCL, which is also going green for the bullet trains to go green. 70 to 90% of the lower energy use and carbon emissions for HSR. That is actually, if you see, 10 to 50 is the per passenger kilometer emissions in HSR, and when it is talking about private car, it is 150. So it's 10 times more. And if you see 600 billion units passenger kilometers will be traveling in HSR. So how the emission reduction will happen? So green logistics, I will just say one of the good initiative and the success story is that India has been able to bring the logistic cost to 7.97 rupees percentage of the India's GDP, which was earlier hovering around 13 to 14% of GDP. So that, and Government of India and our Honorable Prime Minister has made an announcement that we will try to achieve 4% of the GDP, this logistic cost, which is in the many of the developed countries. And present budget and the earlier budget has given far more focus on the logistics. We have an exclusive rating program on green warehousing. Industrial parks, you can see 103 industrial parks and logistic parks have gone for the green certification with IGBC. And going forward, the container terminals can go green. Air cargo terminals like the Jewar Airport and the Bangalore Airport, many of the air cargo terminals are going green in the country. Multimodal logistic park, one of the largest industrial infrastructure in the country to improve the exports and the logistics. 3 of them are working with us already, Bangalore, Indore and Chennai. We are hopeful that more of the logistic parks will come in. So good news is that India has arrived now in logistics, and the world need to know this because it can be the global benchmark if the potential is fully unlocked. Because we have a huge coastline, and if the logistics of India is really demonstrated, it will be much better than the Singapores and this that we are actually looking at. So there are organizations which are going ahead in the green logistics sector. Some of you might be aware of these companies. And leads, if we see the global, the ministry's indicators, this is actually...
Saurabh,
yeah, I'll stop it 1 minute.
See, you can be a good parliamentarian where they are unstoppable. They don't bother the opposition's voice, the ruling party's voice. They don't stop. They go on talking.
I have 2 more
I can understand your energy levels.
Yes,
but you have to utilize the others' energy level as well.
Sure. We will be stopping immediately after this slides because this is done almost. So I've come to the closing slide. The major advantage here is every day, every minute, people are ordering. We know how the shipments are moving from one part of the country to another. But if that is the cost country has to bear, I think there is the logistic cost and the better warehousing and world-class infrastructure need to be looked at. So this is the state scenario, and you can see it is aligned with the national scenario also, where the states are scoring high in Haryana, Delhi and Belt region, and similarly Haryana, Delhi region has a large number of green warehousing projects also. So this is the project progress achieved, you can see. So for example, if any warehousing is going, every million square foot of warehousing is saving 1.6 million units of energy, 6.1 million units of water. 6.01 million liters of water. So that is the kind of impact the green warehousing is coming. So India has just arrived in green warehousing, but will leave in very couple of years as a world leader in green warehousing. So that is why we are working on this sector, and if there's any discussions or questions, we can take offline also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May I request Ms. Kanika to just express her views and thoughts. She is also urban planner basically, and good urban planners is a need of an hour. Unfortunately, they are valued on the basis of the morning. What I said is the who can give me the more productivity of the land use or the FAR. So that culture will have to gradually change, and I'm sure the generation can do it now better.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And for I represent an organization called C40 Cities, and I think the speakers before me, both Sharma sir and Saurabh has actually made has complimented what I'm actually supposed to say here. What Sharma sir has emphasized and what was my takeaway from his presentation was compliance. Compliance and stringent compliance, we can't really excuse anyone. So I think continuity is something which you were focusing on, low rise as well as high rise building, and how we can actually create supporting infrastructure for that. And what Saurabh created was a lot of projects, and I think Saurabh, I will be presenting a contradictory viewpoint to you, what is investment. So it is the time when we have to frame the question right. We are having in the recent union budget, we have investment the announcement that the capital investment of 12.2 trillion will actually be going in creating urban infrastructure, which includes renewable energy infrastructure. And there is a Coilers report which estimate that this investment will actually be increasing to 143 lakh crore by 2030, which is just 4 years down the lane. It's a huge investment, and where it will be going on to the urban clusters. But all of you would have faced so much of difficulty to actually come from the metro station to this venue. Do you think it is sustainable, it is resilient? I don't think so. And so the real question is not only about what we are doing and how we are how to create sustainability, but we have to actually embed sustainability into the systems itself. We have to ask why, for whom we are making it resilient, what is future ready, and low carbon, but at what scale? Is it at the scale of a freight station, or is it at the scale of a green building? So these are some of the questions which I would like to probably ask all of you, and to contemplate that in your work. And already a lot of investment which is going in green transportation, electric buses, electrification, renewable energy, green buildings. But do we find, if you buy an electric car, do you find an electric charging station very comfortably in the city? No. Why? Because it is not actually adopting a systems approach. We are having low carbon infrastructure, but not getting embedded into urban planning. And rightly said by our chairman, sir, it is about integrating all of what we are discussing into urban planning solutions. Urban planning, which is not for now, it is for 20 years from now. Every development plan is made 20 years from now. And what we are talking about, low carbon, actually can mean compact forms. It can mean compact urban forms. It can mean mixed land use. It can mean transit-oriented development. It can mean retrofitting existing assets and not creating new. So resilience and decarbonization, it actually must be embedded into the master plan, zoning regulation, investment pipelines, and not only individual projects. And that's where I contradict some sort of. So how do we have to actually rethink what is sustainable and resilient infrastructure? in my opinion, and I had been working in this particular field for over 13 years. I had worked with think tanks, national think tanks. I had worked with the government. I had worked with academic institutions, and now I am working with a global organization working with over 100 cities. And I think, in my experience, we have to actually move away from an asset-centric thinking to a system-centric thinking, which is informed by evidence, which is informed by, we have to actually do risk assessment and then include that into our urban planning framework. We have to adopt a whole of ecosystem approach. We can't really have one building which is complying with the green building standards. We have to also have the road which is complying to the green standards. We have to also have shaded pathways so that people are actually invested, from my home to my office and from my office to my home. I'm actually completing the entire route with a resilient and sustainable infrastructure. So we have to account for not only environmental vulnerability but also social vulnerability, people, persons with disability, women, informal sector workers. Heat wave will come, who will suffer? It will be the street vendors who will actually suffer. The air pollution comes, who's at the most cost is the construction workers. All of them are informal sector workers. They work on daily wages, and we have to also account for all of these social vulnerabilities when we are talking about resilience, when we are talking about sustainability. We have to also ensure that our long-term land use planning is complying with resilience standards. So we have to also not only talk about compliance, but we have to embed it into the design of the system. We have to build capacities. We have to also create systems which actually automatically comply with all of these standards. We have to create codes. We have to modify the procurement bylaws. We have to also create standards and include that into the development regulation codes. And we have to actually move away from a projectized approach to an institutionalized approach. We have to build systems and institutions which actually believe in climate resilience, which actually believe in low carbonization, which actually believe in sustainable development. And for that, it cannot be Ministry of Railway working in siloed and Ministry of Urban Development working in siloed. We have to actually make these cross-sectional, cross-sectoral integrations. We have to have climate-informed budgeting, because budgeting automatically determines where all the investments will be going. And we have to talk about long-term planning, long-term resilience planning, and not work only to actually today we have facing cyclones, so we'll work for mitigating the effect of that. We don't have to do that. So I'll present a few of the examples which are existing best practices, not from Singapore, not from Malaysia, but from our own country. One is the Ahmedabad Heat Action Plan. Ahmedabad faced a severe heat wave in 2010, and what this city did was actually come up this heat action plan, which was done in 2010, and every year it is revised, every year it is updated. So they created this particular plan, and there are a lot of things they talk about early warning systems, they talk about responsibility matrix, which department, municipal department, what it will do, fire department, what it will do, disaster management department, what it will do. What it brings all the actions in silos. So not one department is complementing the effort of the other department and making the work of the other department easier. It also identifies projects like the Cool Roof initiative which Ahmedabad is doing, and it is doing it for the vulnerable population. So all the slums in Ahmedabad now have Cool Roof, which was actually a modification that was done in its 5th heat action plan. And it will reduce heat exposure, it will reduce energy demand, it will actually save the people who are at most risk, at the center of the vulnerability, saving them from the effects of the heat waves. So it is a classic example of adaptation and mitigation. It is an integrated urban response, and this has been replicated in many places. So in 2017, Telangana has actually started Cool Roof pilot. Bhopal, Surat, Jodhpur has begun pilot projects in 2022. Telangana actually came up with the Cool Roofs policy in 2023, and there is global trials which also are getting influenced by this particular thing. Then this is something which is a C40 work, and we changed the system completely. We worked with the state government, the Department of Town and Country Planning of Tamil Nadu, to actually integrate climate response into the act. So we supported the department to actually modify the act and bring in the lens of climate resilience, particularly to the chapters which were referring to master planning. And Tamil Nadu is in the process of creating 135 master plans for all of its cities, not only Chennai, but tier 2 and tier 3 cities also. And this particular, this kind of a system thinking is actually bringing in climate resilience aspect to be considered in a tier 2 and tier 3 towns like Krishnagiri and Thoothukudi. So this is something which is actually kind of a major impact. We also did a comprehensive climate strategy for this integration into the third Chennai master plan, in which the potential which was estimated was 19.23 million tons of carbon dioxide, which can actually be reduced if these initiatives are integrated into the master plan, and 2 million residents will be less risk from climate risk. I'm not saying no risk, I'm saying less risk, because there's no risk, there's no risk from climate change. And all of these things was actually done because we prepared a comprehensive greenhouse gas inventory for the entire city, including and overlapping the lens of social vulnerability. We also did a risk assessment for the entire metropolitan area. So it's not only the Chennai area, it's a metropolitan area which is larger than the Chennai city region. And it was approximately 300 square meters, which was approximately 2 million people who were identified at risk. And the third thing which C40 actually promotes is developing climate action plan, in short called as CAPS, as infrastructure roadmap. So it's basically when you do something like this, which is a comprehensive document, you are again integrating all the efforts together. So when we are talking about climate action plan, you can see all of these are C40 cities. We have 97 cities across the globe, and we are also supporting non-C40 cities in meeting their climate goals. And all of them have a climate action plan framework, which is revised every 5 years and updated every 2 years. And this in India, we have 4 cities which have climate action plan, which is compliant to our climate action planning framework. There are 41 CAPs overall, including smaller cities like Junagadh, Leh, which are at high climate risk but have a climate action plan framework. Now, what does it do? It is a transformational blueprint. So it basically have emission inventories, it has science-based targets, it has adaptation strategies, it has equity assessments, it has investment priorities, and it has responsibility matrix. Along with the responsibility matrix, it has accountability matrices, which department should lead and which department should support, because that's something which becomes a major concern when we are actually implementing climate actions into in the city planning. And there are So what does it do? It can be integrated into statutory plans like what Chennai is doing, identifying all of these into its climate, into its master plan, or it will also be helpful in bringing up projects, one project which is also an aligned projects.
Kanika.
Just on the last slide. Yes. One project and aligned projects which are actually supporting that one major transformation, and they are called as high impact actions. So in my opinion, this is what is my learning. What makes infrastructure truly resilient and future ready? One is integrate climate risk before finalizing the master plan. When we are preparing the statutory document itself, we have to integrate climate risk, and for that we need to have updated risk assessments done every periodic years. Then second is the investments need to be linked to documents like CAP, which is integrated, which is informed. And then we have to also use the budgets and climate tool. Chennai has come up, it has the entire municipal budget, it has tagged how much investment it is actually making into adaptation and mitigation measures. And that's something which will actually encourage the bureaucrats and the city officials to take steps in that particular direction. There is no harm. And then we have to embed accessibility and resilience not as extra afterthoughts, but as into the bylaws itself, be it the development control bylaws, be it the procurement bylaws, and we have to test, learn, and then institutionalize. I mean, pilot projects are really good. We have to pilot them in different contexts, we have to consolidate the learnings, and then we have to institutionalize it and build the capacities. So with this, I thank all of you, and if you want to know more about our work, you can please scan this QR code. Thank you.
I mean, very brief, but to the point. I like your one statement. I am talking out in a lighter vein and as a humor. that you said that the Gujarat many projects has a good integration. Integration is to the level that the Vallabhbhai Patel Stadium has become the Modi Stadium. That's a good integration, I mean. So, Madam Mitu Mathur, she is also from the same domain. She is more into urban planning more. She is architectural and urban planning. So, last batsman to play and you have 10 minutes to go.
Thank you, sir.
Unfortunately, in India, wherever I also go as a speaker, they tell you 20 minutes. They start late by 20 minutes and they want to start the next session. Either it overlaps or the speaker, all speakers are demoralized and the time is rationed. And sometimes 20 minutes comes to 5 minutes or 6 minutes and 7 minutes. Everywhere it happens. When I go abroad with some papers, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. You have given us time from 3 to how much? 2 to 3:20, 3:15. We are on 3:15 now. Right. Session started also. I'm not talking about you. Don't get offended. I can't dare to offend a professor. Don't worry. So, wherever I go as a speaker outside, they give you a precise time. Right time they start and right time you have to conclude. And there's an auto bail. The chairman cannot become the headmaster, you know. Everybody he has to offend. So, just see that 10 minutes you try to conclude because they have to start the next session.
I'll try to finish before, sir. First of all, I'd really like to thank the organizers for giving us an opportunity and bringing an architecture angle to such an important topic. I really also want to thank all the eminent panelists over here for actually setting the stage beautifully, especially Mr. Sharma, Saurabh and Kanika over here. I have some good news to share. When I say good news, I mean we have all been talking about all the troubles and all the problems we are facing with the increase in urbanization and the challenges that are coming across. We at GPM have been fortunate to be working very closely with ministries and governments, and we are quite aware of the challenges they also face at several levels, and we have been able to implement some projects successfully. I wouldn't say we have done it there, but then we are in the process of learning and evolving and actually getting things done on site. So today I would like to showcase some of the projects that we have been able to get approved from the local authorities, then get compliance ready with respect to all the green building ratings. Many of them are IGBC rated, and also have been able to successfully integrate a climate positive system integrated approach like what Kanika was talking about. So I would request the video to be played. The video is a 5-minute video giving a summary of our design thinking and approach towards many projects. So how can India's public infrastructure from these three angles is what we are looking at. So from prescriptive code compliance to how we can actually become a more integrated approach. This video is playing very fast, it's okay. So we're looking at blue-green infrastructure rather than just focusing on blue infrastructure of buildings. And what are the strategies of decarbonization, whether it is materials, design efficiency, or a systems approach. Moving away from traditional patterns to new age patterns, and really looking at what are the stages that can be looked at design stage in terms of fire safety, resilience, and low carbon focus. Some of the projects we would like to showcase today is the redevelopment of Sarojini Nagar, the Amaryllis group housing project, and a railway station project. This is a 250-acre township project in the heart of Delhi NCR. The Sarojini Nagar redevelopment project is actually working. We've been working on this project for almost 7 years now, and have been able to successfully complete some of the buildings. This is an aerial shoot we got done last week, which kind of captures the essence of how the urbanization has been taken care of with respect to the existing trees and infrastructure on the site. So we have actually worked towards doubling the population without any increase in water resource dependency or electricity. So with use of new technologies and rating systems, we have been able to successfully complete these projects. The second project is Amaryllis in Karol Bagh, which is a densely populated area. Here we have constructed a 200-meter high high-rise tower which is the highest residential tower in India. And here we have constructed the skywalk at 70 meters and 150 meters. So the skywalk actually takes care of the fire compliance. The third project is Tirupati railway station, where we have taken care of TOD as an example and integrated all the fire compliances and green building compliance in a very dense urban fabric. So these projects have given us, as you can see, a lot of these pictures are of under development. So we are still in the learning process. Now, how can these systems be integrated in Delhi city is something that we are also actively working with with the government. So we have a large infrastructure of river Yamuna. We have a large infrastructure of metro. We have an excellent large infrastructure of greens in the city, but we still are struggling with problems of traffic, pollution, flooding, and lack of business opportunity. If we look at all the business opportunities are going to our neighboring cities like Faridabad, Gurgaon, Noida. So how we can actually create an aspiration, because currently what we are looking at is not just climate, but we are also looking at an aspiration of what does my future generation want. We need a pedestrian-friendly environment, a cycling infrastructure, a seamless connectivity to transit, and a car-free zone. So how can these be integrated with public plazas, community engagements, waterfront public spaces, and green sustainable urban design? To my surprise, in Delhi has the longest river line, but we don't connect with river Yamuna at any point. So these are some of our learnings from our projects going on, and how we are able to integrate them within our projects is something we are looking at. Solid waste management is a major aspect, because we are looking at doubling populations in dense urban areas. Stormwater management strategies have been actively implemented, where we have the harvesting pits, and we are recycling the water and also reusing the water in many ways. I'll be happy to talk about these measures later on. Wastewater treatment also, so with use of STPs. Currently all the Delhi sewage goes into the rivers. So if we re-densify these things, so these colonies, we can actually reduce the water dependency by almost 50%. And hence we can actually work towards creating or achieving a net zero environment with all these systems in place. Thank you so much. I think this was less than 5 minutes. And I would like to spend more time in discussing what we can work towards in future. Thank you.
See, the only speaker, she has taken 2 minutes less. So I'll utilize this 2 minutes. Wait. I'll use this few minutes that I'll start from my left end, and I'll ask each speaker to just give one capsule to as a takeaway, that what is the message that you would like to give to the professionals sitting here, which will have the cascading effect to the society.
Okay, I would like to say that, in my personal opinion, we often create islands of excellence. I had worked in the space of inclusion and now resilience, and both the places we always target at one project, which becomes a island of excellence. But we have to actually have a whole of ecosystem approach. It's about scalability and replicability, and unless we have these multiple boon boon se sagar banta hai, wo that is a correct statement. But we have to create we have to add those many numbers of boon, then we have to facilitate those things. And it is, so I'll just add, in my opinion, I think there's no less, everyone knows that what are the problems, but what are the solutions we need to propagate that. Thank you.
Sir.
So I would like to about the on hai mic.
No.
It's basically the integrated sustainability. We should not work in the silo, whether it is the government or the private sector. There has to be some integrations, and there should be some common platform to propagate all these things and achieve what is the target. It is not only the urban development, but it is also the adjoining developments, the related developments that should be given the priority.
Thank you, sir. The only thing is, when we talk about life safety, as I said, people are dying because of smoke problem. So that's the biggest problem. So all the architect planners, if we are able to consider that as a biggest problem and provide some solution in the buildings, I think that take is the bigger thing. Thank you.
I will come in the end. So, no, you speak first, then she will speak.
I will say that sustainability and the green and smart actually builds resilience. We should not just overlook that, and also creates a competitive edge. Actually, the discussion also said that islands of excellence. But when the islands of excellence, there are 5,000 people working or 10,000 people working in an industrial park, and that goes green, I think that is a replication potential is much, much higher. So there is a replication of a million units of energy saved and water units saved. So that's where we are working with 100 large such developments, and that will have a larger impact. So competitive edge will be the key in future, because everywhere from the ministry, the discussion is that how we can be at par with the global numbers. So I would just realign that green and smart to build resilience and create competitive edge.
Sir, I would like to say that currently we are sitting on a panel, so we can talk about our expert opinions. But what happens is we need to be realistic about what can actually get implemented. Just by saying that we need to be inclusive will not get the inclusion in. We have to make it business ready. Anything that sells well will be implemented, and we have seen that in case of how with green building ratings we have been able to achieve higher FARs, and that's why it is being used. I must tell you, my friend, that it's not because of green buildings that people are going ahead with these certifications. Is because it makes business sense. And same is the case of every project that we've been working on ground up, and whether it is a government project or it is a private project, if it makes business sense to the developer, it will be implemented. The question really is how can we make it business ready. Like sir, in your welcome note, you spoke about Mumbai as an example where everything is looked at from a productivity example. If it is making sense in terms of higher FAR or higher sellable areas, it will be implemented. It is a responsibility of the government in collaboration with the private developers and the community as a stakeholder to come up with models collaboratively which make smart choices and smart business sense for the community. We've been fortunate to work on some redevelopment projects, and we have noticed that if people see some positive side in those projects, they will participate and they will make sure that these projects go on seamlessly. But projects wherein people don't feel a participant or the community feels left out is something that gets held up. So my request to the forum and to the larger forum is how can we make it more future ready in terms of financial sense, community engagement, and also climate responsive as an angle to that.
Thank you. I think experts have given their opinion. I would try to just converse this by taking a cue from what Kanika said and what Mitu said and the other experts say, additional DG sir said, that we have to think, not Kanika 20 years, we have to think at least 100 years ahead as to what our third generation is going to face and how we can make it sustainable. That is one. Second thing, the manifestos that we see, those manifestos need to be more consistent and realistic. Like we announce 100 smart cities. If anyone can say that this has become the smart city in last so many years, or at least 50-70% target is achieved, I would be glad. Then we came with the clean cities. How much we achieved, I said in my opening remarks. Now probably the next elections, Parliament 28-29, probably the next mission will be the green building and the environment. Before that we have brought the holidays for data centers. So what we mean that we should follow and we should think of 100 years and not for the 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. And the forum together, including the additional DG, PWD and such good people, starting from Kanika to Mitu and this future parliamentarian, we have agreed that there has to be an integrated approach. So with that we conclude the today's session. Though the organizers are looking at me for the time. I can stop him.
Questions ले सकते
I
हैं.
will still request the audience.
we'll
One
take
minute.
questions.
1 minute. I am requesting the audience, if you have anything to contribute, anything to say, you are free to say. Don't look at the watch.
Good afternoon
क्वेश्चन
to
पूछने के लिए आया था.
Chairman of the Technical Committee. Sir, I am Engineer K.P. Satyamurthy from Tamil Nadu, Chennai. My first question is towards the Sarmaji regarding fire. Second question is towards the Saurav and Kanika. Sir, first question is, see, fire safety, we had an international fire at Hong Kong. 8 towers, 32 floors. Nearly 100 people have died. 61 has rescued. See there, 8 blocks are there. All are 32 floors. So international standard, the firefighters have reached, the hose pipe have reached only 14 floors, 100 meters. Beyond that, they won't reach the upper floors. So the people have died mostly in the upper floors. So what is your expert opinion? People in urbanization, people are constructing 20-story, 30-story, 40-story buildings. What is the precaution, expert opinion, how to, if fire happens in that building, how to rescue the people above the 14 people? That is my first question. Second question is Saurav and Kanika. Sir, in Tamil Nadu, we have got 38 districts. Out of 38 districts, 14 districts have a seashore connected to the sea. 1,046 more than kilometers are seashore area. It's a only different nature. We are facing disasters like tsunami, frequent floods, frequent cyclones, then everything we are facing it. Regarding the zero carbonization, I would like to ask you any special concept behind connecting it to the green building, this is especially for the disaster like seashore areas. That is my question. And
Okay,
regarding
sir.
same question, Kanika also, regarding urban infrastructure development, this type of environmental aspect, what is the special nature of concept on that? That is 2 questions, sir. Thank you for giving me
Thank
an
you.
opportunity.
Thank you. Sir, regarding the first question, as I said, the fires have to be fought from within the building. We cannot have access from the outside. And now there is an opinion that we should have lesser number of staircases, as against 2 we can have 1 probably. The problem is, or rather thing is diverted to the architects. What we need, people, they should not die there. If there is a fire, it should not spread to the whole of the building. So thing is selection of the material for construction of the building. That is number 1. Fire should not spread like this. Second is the designing a building so that if there is a problem, that remains confined to a particular section where the fire has occurred. Doesn't spread everywhere, horizontally or vertically. So here comes the compartmentation or venting out the smoke or heat from whatever section the fire has occurred. So that comes for the designers and architects. And means of escape, built-in means of escape. That is only thing which can save the life. Even there is a fire brigade comes, they take time, some 5 minutes or 10 minutes to reach the place. By the time you have seen that fire in the clip, I have shown you the 2 real incidents. How much time is there? So you can't think anybody surviving if there are not built-in facilities for getting out. So that is what is required. Any building, every building, the architects design a building, see that people, if there is a problem, they escape to some side. Maybe to the terrace connected to the other block, whatever way. We don't prescribe anything. Our requirement is people should be able to live there in absence of smoke. They take more time to get out. High-rise building, more time to come out. For that, we need this little more vigorously. Otherwise, people are not going to survive. Thank you.
Sir, can I add to that? So, to cater to that, like the example I was just showing, which is a 200-meter high tower, we have done on this 75 meters, a refuge floor. And then that's, sir, the entire floor is connected on all the towers. So let's say if one tower, there is a susceptible to fire or the fire happens, from that tower, they can go to the refuge floor at 75 meters and then use the fire tower to egress. Also, the fire tower, the fire refuge floor is something that is a double height floor, which is totally, open in terms of on the sides. There are no walls over there. And there is a dedicated fire tower in each of the buildings. So that fire tower is fully sealed on all sides and is directly accessible on all the refuge floors only for fire tender access, so that none of the residents have to worry about fire in that case. I mean, if there is a fire in their house, they can escape, go to the fire tower, take the lift or the stairs to go to the refuge floor or ground, whatever is closer. And these refuge floors are taken at 2 levels, one at 75 meters height and one at the height of 125 meters. So that, we don't hear of such incidents later on. Actually, it's not just fire, it's any disaster. It can be earthquake, it can be, any other disaster. So we have to be disaster ready rather than just fire ready, right?
Yeah, answering the second question, actually we have done the study also, livable city study for Tamil Nadu, released by Honorable Chief Minister also last year. We are working on 6 cities, and there are studies done for the 6 cities extensively on more than 120 indicators and an overall thing. One other thing that we would like to say, that is the most study part, but actually what is certified projects are actually surviving better in the floods. To give you an example, Mahindra Industrial Park Chennai, they were far better during the Chennai floods. And these are some examples, like in Ahmedabad, we have certified one of the project. Those were better during those flood scenarios. So green brings in the built-in component related to the stormwater network, which is direct indicator of how your water will be channelized. Otherwise, most of the cases in cities, these are filled with silt, construction waste, debris and other things. So the regulators at the city level need to mandate and strictly condemn or fine the people who are doing C&D waste pollution on the, and there should be regular desilting of the rivers and water bodies. These are the 2 things. If it is done at a periodic level, every 3 months or 4 months before monsoon, I think most of the cities will be saved during the calamities.
I slightly contradict with what Saurabh said, that the flood-prone cities or even non-flood-prone cities also, we have to take care that one or the other time there will be a flood. Like Mumbai was basically not a flood-prone city. It has recently become, and the July that 26 July, that flooding that you have seen, then the committee was formed. I was a member secretary of that committee as well. So stormwater management is such a topic. We went to Chicago, we studied that, and now I am just arguing during our code making process that Dubai never had a floods, but Dubai also had a floods, and we had to send the local fire department had to send a fire trucks and pumps for dewatering. But our all fire pumps, electrical installations, even the captive power plants, that we want in the basement. Why? Because we want to exploit the motherland. So that is why I believe that what we spoke in the morning, the integrated approach. So we say that it should be the regulation like this, and we are the culprit regulators or the regulation makers, that we say that all these facilities should be in the basement. Now there is a demand for the second basement, then the third basement. So we are not working, we are working in silos. I agree with you. Next question, only one question we can take. We are standing like a school monitor, I am helpless.
Mike.
Question from the media. Yeah, madam, please. Mic there.
वहीं पे रहो ना यार, जल्दी
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm an architect, urban designer practicing in Delhi for the last 30 years. In my understanding, I think the issue that we were dealing here was more with respect to fire safety and resilience. And I think, and I just need to ask Sharma ji and perhaps Mr. Deshmukh also, is there any way that we are looking at fire safety standards of the new materials that are coming up? See, as far as green building goes, I have an understanding that we are regularly looking at a detailed research of the building material to understand their ability to comply with the standards, right? How is it that the new materials that are coming up are going through the kind of standardization, even if I'm saying 120-minute resilience or resistance to fire and so on. So what is the sort of, that is the first part, and how is it that implementation and translation in codes is happening as efficiently as the materials coming up?
These again two questions. These questions itself are contradicting in their approach. Not that because you ask, the approach that is being taken by the authorities. One, what you said is the new materials, having a better fire resistance or lighter materials but a better fire resistance.
So I'm not sure whether they are having it or not. I think some research
going on, like the new green cement which is coming. So there are things like that. That is being dealt by the another group, the civil engineering division. They have another group, but we insist for the output. That if I want 2 hours fire retardant or 2 hours fire resistance, that output only we go by. The material is the responsibility of the structural and the construction people, civil engineers. So we go by the output. That is one. The second question you ask, what is happening in the regulation? So I mentioned in my opening remark that we had 2005, before that we had 2080, different editions of the National Building Code. And this code was again expected to be more comprehensive. I am the convener for the drafting committee for the part 4, and many experts have contributed. Now there is a tremendous pressure on us, which I mentioned in the morning, that you deregulate. Now that deregulation is going to help the economy or it is going to play with the life of the people, we are not able to answer. Only the deregulation cell and the Niti Aayog experts only can answer this question. I am little bold. I take a lot of risk and talk, and while in service also I was like that, and now also I am like that. But we are not consistent to our thought process what we want actually, and therefore we are going more digress than before. So how we are going to be integrated is a challenge before us.
Thank you, sir.
Conclude, sir.
Hey, don't worry. You have handed over to me, I will conclude. So with this, we conclude the today's session. We thanks to the organizers and the people, at least initially 21 people I was counting, because I also have been a visiting faculty with different B schools in Bombay. So I have a part-time professor's habit. So I was counting the attendees, 21 were there. Then some have increased. I am worried if they have come for the next session and we are killing their time, I don't know. And there are 6 panelists and plus about 10 people to organize the event. So that is what is the balance that we have. Matching balance that we have. So here we stop for the day, and if there is any formality,
we'll complete
you
the
advise
formality.
us
I'll do
and
that.
we'll conclude it.